Grazie. Hey, how are you guys doing? Woo! Well, that's exciting. I am really happy to be with you all today. We're going to have ourselves a good old time. And so, as Father Jason said, my name is Father Jacob, and I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about joy and how we keep that joy in our lives. And I have to say, I am a professional at joy. Okay? Professional. Why? Because joy is something that you don't go out and find. Joy isn't something that you can go and pick off of a tree. Joy is something that you choose that comes from yourself. It is a gift of God that you have to choose. It's a choice, not a feeling. Okay? It's a choice, it's not a feeling. A lot of people think about joy and they think, oh, well, I feel joyful. That's nice, but you actually choose joy in your life. Father Jason was talking about how I went to Ball State. Chirp, chirp. Anyone who loves Ball State here? Woo! Chirp, chirp, baby. Chirp, chirp. So, Ball State is a great time. It was a great place for me. I had a lot of fun there. I was in a fraternity, and at that fraternity, we had a good time, okay? At that fraternity, we had a good time. However, I was known as someone who loved the Lord. I was very involved in my Catholic faith. I always made sure I went to Mass, went to confession again and again. And I made sure I was always going back to the sacraments because I knew that that's where my life, ultimately came from. And so I had a great time there. We had a lot of fun, but I always drew from the sacraments of the church. And so people were always asking, Jacob, why are you so happy all the time? Because everyone else in the world was kind of, they'd be happy at the party, but then after the party was done, they'd be like, we got school, we got all these things, my girlfriend dumped me, I didn't do well on my test, it's hot outside. And then they'd come in to see me in my room, and I'd be like, hey guys, how's it going? It's a great day, how you doing? And they're like, how are you so happy? I mean, you just got dumped by your girlfriend too, how are you happy? I'm like, whatevs. People were always coming to me asking me how I have this joy. And the reality is that when you are close to Christ in the sacraments, the natural disposition that you will have is joy. Because no matter what happened to me in my life, I always knew I was forgiven and loved because I got that in the sacrament of confession. And I knew I had strength to persevere through any trial, no matter what happened on a test, or no matter what happened in my dating life. It didn't matter because I constantly was fed by the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. And so I could say in my darkest moments, I could say, no, I am going to choose joy. Do I feel like being joyful? No. Do I sometimes feel like I'm down in the dumps? Of course I do. But I wake up in the morning and I go, no, I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to be joyful. Why? Because why not? What's the alternative? Lame. God calls us to joy. God calls us to joy for a particular purpose, and it's not just about us. God doesn't want us to be joyful for us. God wants us to be joyful for others. Because are we all called to spread the faith? Are we all called to spread the faith? That's a question. There you go. We are all called to spread the faith. Is it easy to spread the faith when you're... Hey, I think you should believe in Jesus. That'd be a great idea, he's kind of nice, yeah. Look at me, don't you want to be like me? No, nobody wants to be like that. Eeyore is not going to get you anywhere. Lame. Tigger's going to get you something, right? Jesus, this is going to be amazing, it's going to be awesome. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. When you come up to people and you're joyful, when you find joyful people in your class and they invite you to be a part of that joy, are you excited? Yes. You want to be a part of something joyful. And it's something that you choose. It's something that you choose. And I think that how we go about that is very important. Because we have to remember that God died for us, and God loves us, and God gives us so much in our lives. But the problem is that we need to continually remember that. So whenever I preach to seniors in high school, I talk to them. They're about to go to college, and when you're at college, you're tempted to become a pagan. Why? Because you're surrounded by other pagans. What's a pagan? Pagans are people that don't follow after Jesus Christ, who don't put Jesus as the first thing in their lives. Pagans are people who are kind of meh about the faith. They don't search out others. They think of themselves. And that's the very opposite of what we're trying to do with joy, right? Jesus first, others second, yourselves third. Well done. And so I talk to our seniors, and this is the song that I always tell them to remind them of that time in your life when you were joyful and when you were close to Christ. And so, kids, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to throw anything at you. Now I want you to quiet down for a second. And I just want you to think about a time when you were close to God. First communion. Maybe a recent confession when you had to say something really hard, but you said it and God forgave you. Maybe it was the consecration at Mass and you saw the Lord, and for a moment you actually saw Him as He is. God. Open your eyes. So how do you keep that moment in your hearts? This song, okay? You ready for it? I want you to remember this song. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Street lights. People, whoa, whoa, whoa. So, whenever you're feeling like that Eeyore moment, I'm here, I'm sad, my girlfriend dumped me, I didn't do well on the test. Whenever I was at college and I felt that way, I just kind of clinched to that song, and I'd be walking down the streets and I would think about that. I'd be like, don't stop believing, hold on to that feeling, yeah, yeah, yeah. That feeling that you had, that feeling where you knew God was close to you. It could have been years ago, it could have been just around the corner, it could have been that confession, it could have been your first communion, whatever. But you have to hold on to that feeling and choose joy. I want to give you an example of how God is calling you to live this joy in your life. So a couple of weeks ago, it was about actually almost a month ago now, I was locking up the church and I was scared out of my mind. So I'm locking up the church, it's 9:30 at night or something like that. I'm tired, I'm going around, it was a long day. Lock the door, whatever. Okay, lock this door, lock that door. And I was walking next to the confessionals. And our confessionals at our church are along the side of the church, and there's these little doors that kind of slide in and out of the confessional. And I'm walking right past it, and the door's right here. And all of a sudden I'm walking and I look over, and there's a dude staring right at me. I jumped straight up out my dress. Yes, I'm a dude in a dress for a living. This is a cassock, not a dress. But regardless, I was scared out of my mind. There was a homeless guy in the confessional. And my homeless friend, his name is Ricky. And Ricky was there, and he was super apologetic. He goes, I'm so sorry, I'll leave right now. I'm so sorry. But this man was so tired. He just looked exhausted, and it was one of the hottest days of summer. It was 9:30 at night. It was 90 degrees outside, and this man had this leather jacket on, his leather boots, jeans, a hat, and this guy just was, I'll leave, I swear. And he could barely walk. And come to find out, he's actually blind in one eye completely, and he's 80% blind in the other. And so when he goes to leave, he literally walks straight into the pews because he couldn't see him there. Trips and falls. Here's this old man tripping and falling in front of me, and I'm like, no, what? Are you okay? And Ricky goes, well, man, Ricky talks like this. Oh, man, I just can't see anything, and it's a mess. Well, and I'm kind of hungry, and, it's a mess. Every 3 words are, it's a mess. And it cracked me up. He was so cute. He's just a cute little old guy. Cute little old guy. And he goes, I'll leave, I swear. I just don't know where to go to sleep. Because you're not allowed to sleep in public areas. And so they have to spend their night walking. And continually walking. Because if they stop and sleep somewhere, they can get in trouble. Homeless shelters are full. I didn't know what to do. And it's 9:30 at night. Do I kick the man out of God's house? Out of the mouth of babes. I was like, I know what the insurance company would say. But here's the thing. I said, all right, Ricky, here we go. So you're staying here tonight. The confessional is actually really comfortable. I'll make you up a little bed. We'll be good. And here's the deal. There's an alarm system in this church. You go anywhere near Jesus, cops get called. Comprende? And he's like, oh yeah, it is okay. So I got him some food, we fed him dinner, got him to bed, locked up the church. I said, oh dear Lord. I go down to the 7-Eleven. Because that's what you do at 10 o'clock at night. I go down to the 7-Eleven, and because that's where I knew the cops hung out. And I went to the 7-Eleven, I found the cops, and they were like, I go, do you guys know a guy named Ricky? They go, oh, we love Ricky. And I go, that's what I want to hear. Why do you love Ricky? Ricky's the nicest guy in the world. Turns out Ricky suffers from paranoia. He's really scared of everything. He's just always terrified. He always thinks someone's going to hurt him. He's got this, mental condition. And so Ricky's homeless. And I go, okay, so what am I going to do with Ricky? And Ricky was dying for someone to show him love. His own family had taken all of his money from him and left him with nothing. Whenever Ricky goes to get his Social Security check, unfortunately, people stand outside the bank. All of the other homeless people stand outside the bank and they wait because they know if he gets his Social Security check cashed, they just stand out there and then they convince him to give them all his money. And so he never has anything. Luckily, the cops caught on to that pretty quickly. And so they kind of protect Ricky. But Ricky was waiting for someone to show him love. So I called my right-hand man at the St. Vincent de Paul Society, Chip. And so me and Chip were like, okay, we're on a mission. We got to find Ricky a home. Because Ricky is blind. He can't just wander around outside. I saw him. He almost got hit by a car trying to cross the street because he couldn't see the car. And so I said, okay, he almost is causing accidents. No one was helping him. We trailed him to every single center on the planet, and there wasn't anyone to help. Faith Rescue Mission here in Elkhart is a phenomenal organization, and they helped quite a bit. So we got him to Faith Rescue Mission. They set him up over the night, and they kept him there for a couple of nights while me and Chip were going around to all these different organizations finding some place for him to live. And ultimately, Faith Rescue Mission helped us to find a place for him where he could be. But what I noticed with Ricky was all in the dumps. Man, it's a mess. I don't got any food. It's a mess. I don't got a place to stay. It's a mess. Was Ricky kind of Eeyore-ish? Yeah. But all of a sudden, me and Chip kind of tried to build him up. Ricky, you're doing great. We're going to go get you a haircut. We got you some new clothes. We are ready to help you. We got you food. We took him to get his favorite stuff. He loves RC Cola. Does anyone here even know what RC Cola is? Yeah, some RC Cola. Rep that RC Cola. It's like this awesome cheap pop. It's great. He loves RC Cola. We got him RC Cola, and all of a sudden what we noticed was when we started hanging around Chip, and I'm going to go see him actually after I'm here. He's in a place not far from here, in a nursing home. He's almost completely blind now, so he has to be within a facility. But eventually, once we started hanging out with him, what happened? He started to change. It's now been 2 weeks, and I go to see him as often as I can, and whenever I go to see him or I talk to him on the phone, Ricky has not once told me it's a mess in the past 2 weeks. You know what his new phrase is? Man, I'm blessed. Man, I'm blessed. Isn't that great? And so Ricky wanders around, and I go, how you doing, Ricky? Oh, I'm doing good. I got RC Cola, and I like this place. It's nice. It's great. I'm blessed. And everywhere he goes now, he says, I'm blessed. Why? Because joy is contagious, my friends. Joy transforms not only your life, but joy transforms others' lives around you, and they need that joy. They need it from you, and they deserve it. My friends, you have to be joyful, not for yourself. You have to choose joy for others. Yes, your life will be better, but there are so many Rickies in this world that are waiting for you to show them joy. And are you going to do that or not? Yes! You got to do it for them. And so all of you school children, I want you to practice this, because throughout the day, you have a lot of Eeyore moments where, yes, you got to do your homework. Yes, you got to do what the teacher tells you and be quiet and shut your yap, right? But how about when you have to do those things, instead of saying, it's a mess, man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to shut my mouth and learn in this awesome school. I'm blessed to sacrifice for others. I'm blessed to be able to do my work. I'm blessed to be able to give to others in service. I'm blessed. When I started helping Ricky out, it took a lot of effort. I had to build up trust with him. He would show up at the most inopportune times. 5 minutes before Mass, all of a sudden, Ricky's coming into the sacristy. Hey, Father Jacob, hey, Father, can I have an RC Cola? Ricky, I got this thing called Mass. Those 400 people out there right now? Oh, can I have an RC Cola? I literally started putting RC Cola in the sacristy. Why? Because I needed to, because that way I could give him what he needed. And so he would show up at the almost inopportune times, but that's okay. You can't expect to only give to others and be joyful to others when it works for you. God is asking you to give of yourself and to be joyful for others when you don't feel like it. That is when you get grace. That is when you will have true joy. And Ricky transformed me as a priest. Because I had heard the Bible stories all the time to find housing for those who are homeless, to clothe the naked, to give drink to the thirsty. I had preached on that passage 4 million times. Never have I ever been able to experience the joy that comes from giving until I met Ricky. Ricky showed me how to be a priest. And there are Rickies out there that are going to teach you how to be a Christian. You're going to get more from this than you could possibly imagine. But the question is, you're never going to get it if you don't choose joy. If you don't choose joy. Because at 9:30 at night when I was locking up that church, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to look at Ricky and go, tough noogies, bud. Roll. There's some steps right outside. At 9:30 at night, the last thing I wanted to do was to go and be like, all right, I'll make you a sandwich. Let's go get you some RC Cola. Let's make up a bed. It was the last thing I wanted to do. But I knew I needed to do it. I had to make a choice. And so now whenever I have to do that, whenever I've met so many other Rickies in my life in these past couple months, and all of a sudden I don't want to do it. Why? Because inside my heart I'm still a weak human being and I'm kind of selfish. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it. But whenever I don't feel like it, what do I do? What do I remember? What song do I do? Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. But my friends, that's what we need from you. Are you ready to choose joy as a school, as St. Thomas School? Are you going to choose joy? Are you going to think of others before yourself? Are you going to do this even when you don't feel like it? Okay, I think that the elementary school is really good at that. Middle schoolers, only middle schoolers right now, are you ready to do this? All right. Dudes in the middle school only. Dudes in the middle school, are you ready to do this? Okay, all right. I'm almost convinced. Almost. Almost. You got this. You got this. I think it's going to be awesome, my friends. I think that you're going to have an absolutely amazing time doing it, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities. But now, I want to make sure you guys have plenty of time for questions. And I know that I'm ending this a little early, but I think that you're going to have questions. Or root beer. See, that's a very complicated one because when I went to Germany, I got real Fanta. Fanta in Europe is completely different than Fanta here in America. And I choose German Fanta over anything here in America. It's so much better. So much better. Oh man. Yes, dudes. Favorite sport? Football, baby. Football. How many of you are playing football right now? How many of you play football? That's what I like to see. Thank you very much. Go Saints, right? Right? Are you guys playing on the combined team? All of your teammates say hello from Mishawaka Catholic. It's awesome. Are you guys playing? We're all on the same combined team right now, right? So I think we still are. Coach Violi says hi, and you better be at practice. Who's got a question about service? That narrowed it down. Who's got a question about service? Yes. Great question. Why did I become a priest? All right, here we go. This is the story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. Huh? French President Belair song, because it's applicable. Let me tell you a story. Just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became a priest of Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, baby. Okay, so here we go. I was at Ball State, and I was having a great time in my life. I was a business major. I had lots of fun. I was really doing very well in my career. I got offered one of the best internships in my school. So I got to be an intern at Rolls-Royce in Indianapolis. Rolls-Royce doesn't make the cars anymore. They make jet engines for the Defense Department, which is pretty sweet. And so I was in charge of, or I was helping with, the North American Collegiate Recruiting Program. So I was flying people in from all over the country, engineers in from all over the country, trying to get them to choose Rolls-Royce over Boeing. It was a lot of fun. I got a great job offer from them. They said, hey, if you stay on as an intern throughout this year, your boss is moving on, we'll give you their job. And I said, well, zooky zooky now. That sounds good. And I was loving it. But my heart kept being pulled towards the priesthood. In the middle of one of the biggest parties of our year and the fraternity, all of a sudden the news comes on, and what happened? St. John Paul II died. JP2 died, and it was all over the news. And I immediately, in the middle of the party, looked at the screen. I said, oh my goodness, the Pope just died. I got to go pray. I got to go to the church. I got to do something. I got to light a candle. I got to say a rosary. I don't know. I got to do something. And so I told my date. I looked at her and I said, hey, just get in the car, go to the party. I'll meet you there. She goes, excuse me? She says, you're going where? I go, I got to go to church to pray. She says, say what? You're leaving me? You're abandoning me at the party? And I go, hun, you're going to be fine. Just go to the party. I'll meet you there. And so I go to church. And by this time, the news was getting around. There were a ton of people in the church. People were pouring into the church. We're saying a rosary for the repose of the soul of the Pope, lighting candles, asking the Lord's intercession for him, that he might have, receive the glories of heaven for all of the many good things he gave to us. And so after my prayers, I went back to the party. And I sit down next to my date. My date was not talking to me. She was like, ugh. She was not pleased with me at all. She's like, I am perturbed at you. I said, okay, fine, whatever. But there was another girl sitting on my right-hand side, and she was dating one of my other brothers, and she said, you left the biggest party of the year to go pray? And I said, yeah. And she said these words, you're going to become a priest. And in my mind, for the very first time, I thought, yeah, I think I am. And that moment set me on that path. I didn't say the words out loud because I was a little worried about it. I was like, what are people going to think of me? I completely don't know what I'm thinking right there. I don't even know what that means. I had never met a seminarian. I had no idea how to go to become a priest. I was like, are there priest schools? Is there a priest factory somewhere that just pops out priests? I have no idea how this happens. I don't know what this means. I have a great job offer. I have a beautiful girlfriend. Everything's going well in my life. Why on earth would this be in my heart? But God placed it in my heart. Not everyone in the morning wakes up wanting to be a priest or religious. It's a supernatural call. Everyone wakes up wanting to be married, because that's a natural call, and a good one. But if you've woken up and you felt that draw in your life, pay attention to it. Doesn't mean you're meant to be a priest or religious, but you got to pay attention to it, because God is the one who placed that there. And so I said, all right, Lord, fine. So I came home, I called the vocation director, and who was Father Monsignor Gaelic at the time. And I go, all right, so I'm going to go meet with him. He's going to tell me I'm nuts, I'm crazy, I'm not called to be a priest, and he's going to kick me out of his office. And I can go back to my life. Whew. Do you think that's how that went? Darn it, no, it didn't. He goes, here's papers, apply. I go, oh, fine. So I did, and I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to try this out. I have no idea what this is going to be. But I went, and I loved every moment of it. It was the most joyful time of my life. I met great people like Father Jason. He lived in the same building as I did. We had a great time. I thought that I would never have more fun in my life than at the fraternity. The fraternity of the priesthood is 10 times better than the fraternity that I had in college. Why? Because it's rooted in Jesus Christ. It was rooted in common faith. And that made the friendship even stronger. So I had a great time, and I never looked back. So why am I a priest today? God called me, and I answered. And I think that's the central lesson for all of you. Remember, God's going to call you to a lot of things in your life. You have to hear him, and you cannot be afraid to answer.